Apúrate a Mattress Firm. Ahorra hasta $500 cuando compras una cama King a precio Queen o una Queen a precio Twin. Además, obtén una base ajustable gratis con una compra elegible de Sealy, un valor de hasta $499, o consigue hasta un 60% menos en las mejores marcas, como Sealy Queen desde $279.99 o Sleepy's desde $199.99. Disponible entrega rápida, solo en Mattress Firm. Se aplican restricciones. Para más detalles, consulta en la tienda o en mattressfirm.com.
Hello and welcome again to It's All About Musical Taste. Oh yeah. Okay, today we're going to talk about an incredible band that is called The Doors. The Doors, whose singer Jim Morrison and keyboardist have passed away. Well, Ray Manzarek. Let me tell you something important. Well, not important. Something interesting about The Doors, and I will share what the Doors.com, the band, tell about them. It says, like, with an intoxicating genre-blended sound, provocative and uncompromising songs, and the mesmerizing power of singer Jim Morrison's poetry and presence, the Doors have transformative impact not only on popular music but in popular culture. The Doors' arrival on the rock scene in 1967 marked not only the start of a string of hit singles and albums that would become stone classics, but also of something much bigger, a new and deeper relationship between creators and audience. Refusing to be mere entertainers, the Los Angeles Quartet relentlessly challenged, confronted, and inspired their fans, leaping headfirst into the heart of darkness while other bands warbled about peace and love. Though they had scores of imitators, there's never been another band quite like them. And 50 years after their debut album, The Doors' music and legacy are more influential than ever before. Let me tell you about Jim Morrison, singer of The Doors. At the center of The Doors' mystique is the magnetic presence of singer-poet Jim Morrison, the leather-clad Lizard King, who brought the repeating power of a shaman to the microphone. Morrison was a film student at UCLA when he met keyboardist Ray Manzarek on Venice Beach in 1965. Upon hearing Morrison's poetry, Manzarek immediately suggested they form a band. The singer took the group's name from Aldous Huxley's infamous psychedelic memoir, The Doors of Perfect Perception. Constantly challenging censorship and conventional wisdom, Morrison's lyrics developed into primal issues of sex, violence, freedom, and the spirit. He outraged authority figures, braved intimidation and arrest, and followed the road of success. As one of his muses, the poet William Blake famously put it, toward the palace of wisdom. Over the course of 6 extraordinary albums and countless boundary-smashing live performances, he inexorably changed the course of rock music and died in 1971 at the age of 27. He was buried in Paris, and fans from around the world regularly make pilgrimages to his grave. In 1978, the surviving members of the band, keyboardist Ray Manzarek, guitarist Robbie Krieger, and drummer John Densmore, reunited to record the accompanying music for An American Prayer, a compilation of Morrison's poetry readings. He remains the very template of the rock frontman, and his singing, poetry, and Dionysian demeanor continue to inspire artists and audiences around the world. He was born on December 8, 1943. December 8, an important date for rock and roll lovers, because it's when we sadly lost John Lennon. But well, on December 8th, but in 1943, Jim Morrison was born. Ray Manzarek, keyboardist of The Doors. Ray Manzarek was the architect of The Doors' intoxicating keyboard sounds. Manzarek advocated playing fused rock, jazz, blues, bossa nova, and an array of other styles into something utterly dazzling new. The group was born in 1965 when Jim Morrison and Chicago native Manzarek, both UCLA film students, met on Venice Beach. The singer's poetry was a perfect fit for the classical trained keyboardist's musical ideas, and eventually they decided to form a band. To several bassists auditioned For the group, none could match the bass line provided by Manzarek's left hand. Signed to Elektra Records, the Doors released 6 studio albums, a live album, and a compilation before Morrison's ultimately demise in 1971. Manzarek, Krieger, and Densmore released 2 albums as a trio under the Doors moniker, with Manzarek and Krieger handling vocals. Manzarek next formed the group Night City, which invited comparison to Mott the Hoople and Aerosmith. The quintet released its one album in 1977. The surviving Doors reunited to create a musical backdrop for Morrison recorded Poetry on the 1978 release An American Prayer. Manzarek produced and performed 5 of the LA Band X album, including Los Números solo albums. Ray lived with his wife of 45 years, Dorothy, in Napa, CA, until his passing in May of 2013, following his ultimately fatal bout with bile duct cancer. He was born on February 12, 1939, and died on May 20, 2013. John Densmore, drummer of the Doors. Drummer John Densmore was far more than merely the rhythm engine of the Doors, strongly influenced by jazz skinmen like Elvin Jones and the supple grooves of the Brazilian wave. He brought a highly evolved sense of dynamic structure and musicality to his beats, inexorably down to music. From childhood, Los Angeles-born Densmore honed his sense of dynamics playing with his high school marching band. In the mid-60s, he joined a guitarist Robbie Krieger in a band called Secretary Rangers. Shortly thereafter, they hooked up with keyboardist Ray Manzarek and Morrison. An explosive chapter in the development rock and roll began. A raft of paradigm shifting, recording an epochal live performance would follow. Morrison's death in 1971 marked the end of an era. Though the surviving trio recorded 2 more albums of songs and instrumental backdrop for the late singers recorded Poetry. The versatile musician explored reggae and jazz in subsequent projects, wrote books and articles, and became active in LA adventurous theater community. He earned an LA Weekly Theater Award for the music he created for the Tim Robbins directed stage production Methuselah. He also co-produced To Play Rounds, which was given the NAACP Award for Theater in 1987. Densmore's autobiography, Riders on the Storm, My Life with Jim Morrison and the Doors, was published in 1991 and was a New York Times bestseller. He's written articles and essays for Rolling Stones, London Guardian, The Nation, and many nationally syndicated newspapers. He was born on December 1st, 1944. And finally, but not least, Robbie Krieger, guitarist of the Doors. Well, with a fair 4-wicket bottleneck slide, exploratory solos, and gut-butter grooves, guitarist Robbie Krieger brought a stinging, sinuous intensity to the sound of the Doors. But he was also a key songwriter in the band and penned some of their biggest hits, notably their mesmerizing #1 hit Like My Fire. Before picking the guitar at age 17 in the LA native studied trumpet and piano, the inspiration for switching to guitar came not from rock and roll but Spanish flamenco music. His first guitar hero, however, was jazz legend Wes Montgomery. After Morrison's death in 1971, Krieger, Manzarek, and Densmore carried on as a trio. They released 2 more albums as the Doors before calling it quits in 1973. Though they did reconvene a few years later to create music for Poetry, Morrison had recorded shortly before his death, released in 1978 album An American Prayer. Krieger went on to enjoy success as jazz guitarist, recording a handful of records with Robbie Krieger Band in the 1970s and 80s, version 1983 and No Habla 1986. Amply demonstrate his versatility. I think playing guitar is probably the one thing that gets better with age. He says Robbie Krieger is listed among Rolling Stone's 100 greatest guitarists of all the time. He was born on January 8, 1946. So these are the more important facts about the Doors. You can check this on the doors.com/the-line-band, where you can find a lot of information about the Doors, images, music, video, and obviously music that you can play on iTunes, and you can purchase there. You can also play there. So you can also could listen to this on Spotify, and the whole recordings are there, so you may buy it if you want it. You should listen to it, or you can download it. Well, there are the whole discography in there. So this is all about musical taste. Sorry because I have been having trouble recording my podcast, but I'm glad you're here again. Thank you for listening, and we are here next week with another wonderful band that I am trying to present to you, for you to listen and to enjoy. And if you like the bands I recommend, well, share them and enjoy them. See you next time. It's all about musical taste.
Apúrate a Mattress Firm. Ahorra hasta $500 cuando compras una cama King a precio Queen o una Queen a precio Twin. Además, obtén una base ajustable gratis con una compra elegible de Sealy, un valor de hasta $499, o consigue hasta un 60% menos en las mejores marcas, como Sealy Queen desde $279.99 o Sleepy's desde $199.99. Disponible entrega rápida, solo en Mattress Firm. Se aplican restricciones. Para más detalles, consulta en la tienda o en mattressfirm.com.